A man that needs no introduction. I'm going to give you one anyway. Roger Ver, Crypto Jesus, they're calling you. But I think it's time for an update, man, because you've moved on. I'm just spitballing here, man. But what do you think? Cassius Clay.
Works for me.
Perfect, man. Great. So thanks so much for sitting down with us. You've been in the space for so long now, the real crypto OG. What's exciting you, though, in 2019?
I guess two things. Of course, payments. That's been exciting me the entire time with my entire involvement. But tokens are also exciting. And prediction markets. I'm really looking forward to some prediction markets actually getting some traction and being usable for some useful things. They're kind of like these magic time machine windows into the future where we can figure out what actions we should take today to achieve our goals for tomorrow. And that's a really big deal. And I think a lot of people don't appreciate just how big a deal prediction markets are going to be.
Prediction markets. And is that something you're got a hand in at all? You're working on? Or?
So I invested or helped put some seed money for Bitcoin Hive Mind. But there's some other ones like Augur and a couple of other ones out there. And like, I'm a fan of anything that works. If it works and is up and working, like I'll support it. And that's why I like, all the cryptocurrencies that work as currencies and any of the prediction markets that work as prediction markets, I'll be a fan of those too.
For the people out there that aren't so clear on the differences between Bitcoin Core, Bitcoin Cash, if you could give us a quick distillation of, why you're on Team Cash these days.
I'm on the same exact team that I've been on since I got involved in Bitcoin. That's peer-to-peer cash for the world. And right now, I think Bitcoin Cash has the best shot at doing that and helping the most people around the world because it has fast, cheap, reliable transactions, just like Bitcoin used to have back in 2011, 2012, 2013, all the way until somewhere around the ballpark of like 2015. And then Bitcoin transactions became slow, expensive, and unreliable by the intentional design of the Bitcoin Core developers. And they say that they want the transaction fees to become even higher and the transactions to become even less reliable on-chain than they are today. Well, I'm a businessman. I need something that works quickly, cheaply, and reliably. It needs to work all the time, every time, and that's Bitcoin Cash. It's not BTC any longer, and that's why I switched my effort to focusing on Bitcoin Cash instead of what everybody today is calling Bitcoin. But from my point of view, it's some other science project. It's not the original Bitcoin that I got involved in.
Fair enough. Now, some would say Lightning Networks maybe can clear up some of these issues for the Bitcoin Core. What do you say to that?
As of today, it's still vaporware. It's not even remotely usable for a normal person. You basically need a computer science degree to get set up to use it, whereas with Bitcoin Cash, it literally takes longer to download the wallet than it does to start using it, so it's just a world of difference.
Perfect. Now, that's vaporous, a vaporous claim. Let's move to a vaporous man, Mr. Craig Wright. You've had some choice words to say for him. How are you feeling these days? I saw on Twitter earlier you said, hey, bring it on, round 2. Let's get legal with it. What's happened there?
Yeah, so he got legal with it. He sued me. He served me with the paperwork. I just had to wire 20,000 British pounds to a lawyer in the UK today because we couldn't find one that would accept Bitcoin Cash for it yet. But we looked, we tried, and we actually really pushed that law firm really, really hard to do it. But we're hiring a first-class law firm as well to make sure that we defend this properly. And I'm really looking forward to the end result when Craig Wright gets to pay all of my legal bills. And I'll make sure to ask him to pay me in Bitcoin Cash for that.
Do you have a message to Craig Wright for the camera?
Craig Wright, when you lose the lawsuit and you have to pay my legal bills, I'll give you my Bitcoin Cash address and you'll have to sell some of your Bitcoin SV to pay me in Bitcoin Cash. So I'm looking forward to that.
Perfect. That's great. Now, here's a scenario for you. You and Craig Wright, you're in a room maybe 10 paces apart. How long does it take you to lock in a rear naked choke on him?
I'm not a fan of using offensive violence, but if he tried attacking me, first, I think probably less than 10 seconds.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty quickly.
And you think he'd put up much of a fight, or you're not too worried about it?
I don't think he'd put up much of a fight at
Legal
all.
battle, real battle. You got him on all corners.
I got him on every count.
So. Right on, man. Cool. Well, hey, I just learned that you're quite into the Jiu-Jitsu thing. You've actually done some work at the world level, which is really incredible. And would you say there's any parallels between the crypto world and the Jiu-Jitsu world at all?
I think there's a lot of parallels between, if you believe this, Magic the Gathering, Jiu-Jitsu, and cryptocurrencies, because all of those things really focus you to find a million different ways to get to your goal. So with Magic the Gathering, there's a bunch of different ways to achieve your goal. In Jiu-Jitsu, there's a million different ways to achieve your goal. And with cryptocurrencies, there's a million different ways to do interesting things. And so I really would like to credit, I guess, Magic the Gathering and Jiu-Jitsu for helping me with my outside-of-the-box thinking.
Perfect. And another similarity, all three of those things you've actually been involved with too, with Mt. Gox and then Jiu-Jitsu as well.
And actually, I competed in the Magic the Gathering Pro Tour way back in the day, and I think I got 13th place in the Pro Tour, and I won the local regional qualifiers, of course, to get to that. And anybody that plays Magic, if you place top 16 even in the Pro Tour is pretty darn good. So.
And is there a lot of crossover from the Magic the Gathering world to the Jiu-Jitsu world, or are you sort of the shining example?
No, I don't know how much crossover there's from Magic the Gathering to Jiu-Jitsu, but there's a lot from Magic the Gathering to cryptocurrencies,
to crypto.
And there's a lot from Jiu-Jitsu to crypto as well.
Right. And is it maybe an independence mindset, or like you said, finding different ways to reach your goal? You think that's the thread there?
Yeah, I think finding different ways to reach the goal and the outside the box thinking that's required.
And outside of the box thinking, I wanted to get your a quote from you on another issue, actually, with Ross Ulbricht. Now, we've seen your Twitter posts and you're reading out letters and stuff like that. Could you give us a little bit of insight about your relationship with Ross?
Exchanged a couple of letters. I've exchanged a lot of emails with his mother, and it's not just Ross. There's probably 1 million plus Americans, and we should care about everyone all over the world, not just Americans. But in America alone, there's probably somewhere in the ballpark of 1 million people in prison right now today for victimless crimes. Like, if there's no victim, there's no crime. And if people are getting tossed in jail for victimless crimes, it's the police and the prosecutors and the judges that are the criminal aggressors, and they're the ones that need to stop. And I'm looking forward to using cryptocurrencies to defund all of these criminal aggressors from being able to aggress against peaceful people who haven't hurt anybody. And Ross is just kind of the poster boy for that. But there's, hundreds of thousands, if not, 1 million plus people that are in that sort of situation, and it's really horrible.
Absolutely. Now, you've been described as an anarcho-capitalist. Is that a label that you're happy to hold?
I prefer the term voluntarist, but for people that are in that sphere already, they'll know what an anarcho-capitalist is. And if I had to choose the thinker that's influenced my view of the world the most, it would be Murray Rothbard, and he described himself as an anarcho-capitalist, but that was back in the 70s and 80s and whatnot.
Okay, interesting. Now, a question for you. Another similarity with you and Ross, you also actually faced some jail time for, well, I guess dealing with something a little bit similar. Was it illegal fireworks or something on eBay? Is that right?
Yeah, so I bought firecrackers from one website and then resold them on eBay. And this was back when eBay had a guns and ammo section. You could literally sell like assault rifles and ammunition and all sorts of stuff. And I guess on paper it was illegal, but from a practical perspective, it wasn't illegal for anybody except for me, because I ran for state assembly at the same time as a libertarian, and basically said I don't think we need a government. We should repeal as many laws as we possibly can. And so even the company that was selling me the product didn't have a permit. They didn't get prosecuted. The company manufacturing the product didn't have a permit, and they didn't get prosecuted. So even while I was in jail, the company I had been buying the product from was still selling the product. So that just shows how selective the prosecution was.
Absolutely. And spending that time in jail, did that inform any of your sort of philosophical leanings at all?
Before I went to prison, it was all philosophical, and then it became much more real and personal after that. But I guess one good thing that came out of prison is before I went, I had studied all these economics books as to the origin of money and how something comes to be used as money. And the theories in the book seemed pretty convincing, and they made sense, and I thought this sounds accurate. But then I got to see firsthand within the prison economy the theories in the books were true in practice. And so then when Bitcoin came along, I had the theoretical, evidence from the books, and I had the practical evidence from in prison to let me know without any doubt in my mind whatsoever, people were going to start using Bitcoin as money. There was no doubt in my mind whatsoever. And I have that same theoretical and practical evidence. People are going to start using Bitcoin Cash as money more than they use BTC, as long as the transactions on BTC continue to be slow, expensive, and unreliable.
Right. And if you could just quickly give us an update or sort of an outlook over the next 3-6 months, maybe even a year, what can we expect from the Bitcoin Cash project?
The really big deal is on June 4th in memorial of the Tiananmen Square massacre. We are launching local.bitcoin.com. It allows anybody to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash in any country for any payment method with no KYC required from bitcoin.com. So you heard it here again. Any payment method in any country with no KYC required from bitcoin.com. It's a peer-to-peer transaction. Bitcoin.com never touches your wallet. We don't touch your funds. We don't have control of your money in any way whatsoever. So anyone, anywhere can buy and sell any amount of Bitcoin Cash with anyone. And it's kind of a mouthful, but we're calling it blind self-custodial escrow.
Say that one more time?
Yeah, blind self-custodial escrow. So if you or I are parties to the trade, we can nominate somebody else to act as an escrow agent, but that escrow agent is blind to the fact that we even nominated them, and they don't actually have custody of the funds. They're never able to touch our money at all. All they can do is, if there's a problem, they can give you by yourself or me by myself the ability to send the Bitcoin Cash back to either one of us, but they never touch the money. Bitcoin.com never touches the money. Nobody but you or I ever have access to the funds at all in the entire transaction. So it's available to everyone in every country. Bitcoin.com just set up the platform to make it happen. And this is only possible on Bitcoin Cash. It's not possible on the BTC version of Bitcoin.
Crazy. And no KYC. I mean, that sets you apart even from local Bitcoins, I guess, right?
So Local Bitcoins is a custodial platform where they're taking custody of all the funds. And because of that, they're beholden to the governments, and they have to do KYC and all this. And to be clear, there's no KYC requirements from Bitcoin.com. The users of the website technically will have to abide by whatever the laws are in their own country, but we provided them an end-to-end encrypted chat platform. What they do is their business; it's none of ours. And if they obey by those laws, great. If they don't, that's fine too. It's none of our business.
That makes a lot of sense. Hey, Roger, thanks so much for sitting down with us. Really appreciate the interview, and look forward to seeing you in Switzerland when you make it out there.
And we'll sum it up with it: good people disobey bad laws, and we want to enable them to be able to do that.
There we go. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.